Hey there, Lawrenceville First. Adam here. I get to be one of the pastors at this amazing church, and we're so excited to have the opportunity to worship in this unique way this morning. If you're seeing this, you already know that the weather's not very good outside, and we didn't feel like it was safe to have worship together in our facility. And so I hope you're enjoying this in the comfort of your home, and that you're nice and warm and enjoying an opportunity to be with your family and to worship together through this digital format. However we gather together, I say it all the time, we're better together. Whether we're in person or we're online, we're better together. But if you would do us a favor, just go ahead and let us know you're here in the comments. We would love to say hi to you. We'd love to make sure that we acknowledge your presence like we would on any other Sunday morning. There are a couple things happening in the life of the church that we absolutely want you to know about. Church keeps going. First of all, for those of you who give, thank you. Thank you for the ways that you support the work of this church. There are so many things that are happening. We kicked off student ministry and children's ministry on Wednesday nights this last week. We started up Let's Talk and Moms Group. We've been in the schools throughout the week in lots of different places. And all of those things happen because of the ways that you give. And even though we're not together today, even though we're not passing the plate, this is my way of passing the plate this morning. About 40% of our giving gets given in person. And so if you're a person who normally gives in that way, I'd encourage you to drop it in the mail or jump onto our online giving platform. And you can give really easily that way. If you're a regular online giver, thank you so much for the ways that you do that as well. We want to encourage you to give generously to the work that God is doing both in this church and in this community through this church. As I said, we've got a lot of things happening, lots of things kicked off this last week, but this coming Sunday, February 1st, we've got lots of great new things that are happening. It's a new month, new opportunities for you to gather together. First of all, we've got our Group Connect event. If you're looking for a group, and maybe you don't even know you're looking for a group yet, come and check it out. Come and find out about all the amazing group opportunities that we have here at Lawrenceville First for people to gather together and to grow in their faith. We want you to do that this year. We want you to grow in faith. We think that's so incredibly important, and we think growth happens in community. So check out Group Connect, Sunday, February 1st. On the 1st, we've also got our LVfirst Step. It's an opportunity to get together with some other folks who are new to the church to learn more about who we are and what we do. Why do we do things the way that we do here? We want to have an opportunity to share that with you. We'll even feed you. Make sure you register for that event, and you can do that by going to our website or clicking on the link that'll be below this in the description. We'd love for you to join us if you're new to Lawrenceville First and want to hear more about what we're up to in the world. And then, one more thing we want you to know about. As a part of our Group Connect, you're going to hear a little bit more about live groups. These are new groups that are always forming, that are opportunities for people to gather together. This is kind of an introductory opportunity into Bible study, and it only lasts 10 weeks. Everybody can commit to 10 weeks of something. And so I want to encourage you, if you haven't been a part of a live group yet, check those out. You can find out more on the website, and you can see what they're all about. We've got some videos coming that will share a little bit more about what a live group is and how it might impact your life. However you find yourself looking for a group, we would love for you to be connected to other people in the life of our congregation and in the life of our community. All right, Lawrenceville First. I hope you stay warm. If you need anything in the next few days as we deal with this strange weather, please reach out to us. Send us an email, call the church office. If it's an emergency, there's an emergency line. We want to know what's going on. We want to partner with you in prayer. We want to just be with you because we think being with one another is so incredibly important.
The best part of the Live group 100% was the friendships.
Giving yourself the chance to meet people outside of your regular group is just a great thing with these Live groups.
It put a group of random people together, and I don't think I would have met those people or gotten to know them on the intimate level that I did had it not been for the Live group.
I thought the best part of Live groups was the opportunity to have a very safe and focused time to really go deeper into God's purpose for my life.
But also being able to learn from people that are different than you, to have people in different generations than you, to have people that are in different demographics than you, and being able to hear their perspective was really eye-opening.
We didn't know anybody in our group when we started, but we bonded, and we were able to listen to their stories and learned a lot from them.
The Live group provided an opportunity to do that. We got to know our group members. We grew to love our group members. We prayed for our group members.
It was an easy thing to commit to, and you knew you were going to have intentional time for this space with others.
You know, honestly, we had talked as a group that when we came to week 9, we said, I can't believe it's over next week. Like, it feels like we just started.
It made me more comfortable to say, okay, I think this is something I can commit to. 10 weeks is not a super long time, and it ended up being that I loved it so much that our Live group is still meeting.
I think one of the good things about this small group, especially this particular class, was learning the Bible a little bit more in depth.
As each person was sharing their story, it was so interesting to see how many of the stories were similar or came from different backgrounds and things you would have never had any idea of knowing.
And I've gotten to know some people and really formed deep connections.
I think people should join a Live group if you are truly ready to make that connection to this church.
I know that Jesus said, where 2 or more gather, there shall I be. And that is this. That is exactly this, because every time that we gathered together, I felt him there. So if you want to experience God, do this. And I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised.
I think that when you want to find an environment where you can go deeper with people that you can trust and go on a journey together, it's so enriching for your faith, and it's just a wonderful experience.
Having that vehicle where you get to do life together, even if it's for a semester or a segmented amount of time, you really get to, just make friends.
If you're looking for an intentional time with other people to have deep conversation, to have hard conversation, to really look at your faith and how God's working, a Live group is a perfect time to do that.
Yeah, and I think just having that company, having those witnesses to your life, having people join your circle, having that community is invaluable, and I think everyone can really gain something from a group like this.
Well, hey there, friends, and wasn't that time of worship incredible? One of the things that we would love to do as we have this opportunity to worship together in this unique way through this platform is to really hear from you. We'd love to hear how the weather is where you are. We'd love to see a picture of you, or you and your family worshiping together, however it is you find yourself worshiping this morning. We're in the last week of our series called Resolve. And here we are at the end of January. And honestly, most people at this point have entirely jettisoned all of their New Year's resolutions, especially if you're stuck in your home or it's icy out and all of a sudden you're like, well, I was going to eat healthy, but then we had an ice storm. So you might as well eat everything that's in the refrigerator and freezer just in case the power goes out. We've just kind of given up on all of those things that we said we were going to do. And for the most part, we never keep those resolutions that we set out to keep. Things just seem to get in the way. Circumstances just seem to happen. And even though we started out with the best intentions, even though we really wanted to do it, we found ourselves floundering for one reason or another. Maybe it was when school started back and all of a sudden the routine hit and you couldn't find the time to do the things that you wanted to do. Or maybe you got sick or you got a cold or something and you weren't able to keep up with that pattern that you said you were going to keep. You weren't able to do the thing that you said you were going to do. Or maybe the alarm didn't go off. Whatever it was, the circumstances of our lives often keep us from getting where we want to go. And so for many of us, we never complete the resolutions. We never get to the goals that we set out at the beginning of the year. And there are lots of reasons why that happens. Maybe you're like my wife. I love my wife. She's amazing, but she has a difficult time making a decision. And so when we go to restaurants, I try to take her to restaurants with a one-page menu because otherwise she'll just look through the whole menu being like, ooh, this looks good. Ooh, this looks good. Ooh, this looks good. And her ideal situation would be where we all get something and we all share it and we just have all of the different things that are on the menu. But I like what I like and I don't like sharing. I just like for her to order something and I'll order something and then we'll just keep everybody separate. But she approaches life in that way. She'd like to try a little bit of this and a little bit of that and all of these things. And so for her, it's tough sometimes to narrow down the decisions, the things that she wants to do. It's tough for her to narrow down those resolutions, those goals, and decide on just the things that are most important. Or maybe you're a little bit more like me and I go way too big on my resolutions. Like when I decide I'm going to do something, oftentimes I'm like, I can do this and I'm going to do this big thing and I'm going to do it in the shortest amount of time possible and I'm going to get it done. And that's the way I approach goals, and sometimes it really backfires on me. A couple of years ago, I was like, this year I'm going to do that couch to 5K thing, only it's a whole plan and it takes so long. And I figured, I can probably just get up off the couch and run a 5K. I'm sure you can imagine what happened. I hurt myself trying to run this 5K that I wasn't even really signed up for. I just decided I was going to go out and run a 5K as quick as I could, and I hurt myself, and I gave up because the goal was too big. I tried too much, too fast. I just got overwhelmed. Sometimes there needs to be something to remind me along the way that there are actually steps along the journey that are very important. I'm reminded that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with just one step. So over the last few weeks, we've actually been talking about these resolutions that all of us can keep. That's the whole premise of this series, that there are certain things that all of us can do together, and they're not too difficult, but they might actually change the way that we live in the world. And the first one we talked about was simply that, just to be changed, that this year we will all change. The question is, what do we want to change? Do we want to change on purpose, or do we want change to just happen to us? We'll all change this year, and my hope is that we will all change by following the way of Jesus together. We talked about the idea that we can all be changed. Then we talked about the idea that we are all loved. We can all spend this year knowing that we are loved, that we can be loved, that Jesus is baptized and reminded by the Father's voice from heaven that He's loved, and we're seen through Jesus, so we too are loved. Loved so much, loved in such a way that Jesus' first followers, the disciples, they knew that they were loved. They knew that they were loved so much that John, in his gospel, says that he's the disciple that Jesus loved. But I'm sure all the disciples felt that way. And we can too. And when we live as people who know that they're loved, it changes the way that we encounter the whole rest of the world. And then last week we talked about this idea of being curious. God is big and massive, and there's so much for us to be curious about. As we're learning about who God is and who we are and who others are in the world. Curiosity breaks down walls and builds relationships in its place. And so all of these are things that we can do together. These are all resolutions that we can keep this year. And before I get to this last resolution, this last thing that I want to invite you to do this year, I just want to remind you about this reality. For whatever reason, in our culture, we feel like there's something unique and special about January 1st. As if that's the only time that we can begin goals. That's the only time that we can set resolutions or intentions or Star Wars or whatever it is that we want to do in the year. We think that January 1st has some special power, but there's not some rule that says that you can only start new things at the new year. It turns out that there are actually 12 first days of months throughout the year. 12 opportunities that present us with a new opportunity to start something new, a catalyst for something new for you. Now, I don't know if you know what next Sunday is, but it's February the 1st. It's a new opportunity for us. John Acuff talks about this idea, the author and speaker. He says that January has all the momentum and all the energy, and it's the most popular time to start a goal, but it's not the only time. Because motivations change, lives change, people change, things happen. But the first of any month can become a chance to take a step into something new. To take a step into something new. But to be honest, that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage. Doing something new always involves being brave. It always involves being brave. And that's what I want to invite you into today. A resolution that we can all keep is to be brave. To be brave together. And a lot of us wouldn't say that we're brave people, but we can all act in brave ways. Showing up at something for the first time takes a lot of courage. You got to be brave. Trying something new for the first time, you got a lot of courage. You got to be brave. Taking on some sort of new habit or Bible reading plan or following Jesus in a certain way or starting something new in your prayer life, all of those things take courage. You got to be brave in order to do those things. Because the gravitational pull of familiarity often keeps us from taking that first brave step. There's this story in the scriptures that I love so much, and I think invites us to push against this tendency towards familiarity. If you got your Bibles, it's going to be in Matthew chapter 14. We're going to be in Matthew chapter 14 together, so I'd love for you to turn there with me as we read this story that's going to sound familiar to you. But I just want to give you a little bit of backstory, because before the story that we're going to read together, the disciples have just experienced something amazing. Jesus just fed 5,000 people with just a couple of pieces of bread and a few fish. The disciples had no idea how this was going to happen. They didn't understand what Jesus was going to do. They didn't think that Jesus could do anything with what little they had. But Jesus not only did something amazing with the little bit that they had, but He invited them to be a part of it. They got to participate in it. They gave Jesus what they had, and He did something more than they ever could have thought possible. Then we pick up in this way. It says immediately, that's right after this event takes place, right after they feed 5,000 people together, that Jesus does this incredible miracle that the disciples get to be a part of. They load up the extra baskets, the extra food, they get in a boat, and immediately it says, He made the disciples get into the boat and go ahead to the other side of the lake. They're heading on to the next thing. Check off the list. We fed 5,000 people, let's go. We've got to go to the next thing. There's more to do. Headed for their next destination. When all of a sudden, the thing that they were going towards, the thing that they were moving towards, the goal, got disrupted by life. Life got in the way. Immediately made the disciples get into the boat and go ahead to the other side while Jesus dismissed the crowd. And after He had dismissed the crowds, He went up on the mountains by Himself and prayed. But listen to this. When evening came, He was there alone. But by this time, the boat that the disciples were in, the 12 disciples were in the boat, battered by the waves. And it was far from the land because the wind was against them. Because the wind was against them. Circumstances got in the way of the goal that they were going after. They needed to get to the next place. But the wind and the waves were against them. The pull of familiarity, the pull of safety, the pull of being the same pulled them back towards that certain place. They were being buffeted by the wind and the waves. And for all of us non-nautical people, the bottom line is they were working really hard and they weren't making any progress. They weren't getting anywhere. They weren't getting where they were going. They weren't completing any steps along the way to that goal or to that resolution that they had made. That intention is all of a sudden stopped in its tracks. They were rowing and they were rowing and they were rowing, but they weren't going. They weren't going anywhere. They were stuck. A lot of movement, very little progress. Some of us can identify with that reality. We do a whole bunch. We try to make all of these things happen. We try to do more and more and more and more in order to complete all of these things, and we just feel like we're not making any progress. Feel like we're not getting where we want to go. You know, it's the sort of thing where you wake up early and you want to go running, but it's raining. You got that gym membership, but you're not sure what to do with all of the equipment that you see when you get there. You know, or you started a Bible reading plan, but you can't pronounce half of the words that are in there, and you're not sure what any of it means anyway. It's the reality that we want so badly to be changed, but it seems like the current is constantly against us, and we just can't make any progress. It's that sense that we want to know that we're loved, but everything around us tells us that we're just not good enough. The wind constantly feels like it's against us. But then something happens. The disciples notice something. It says this, early in the morning, He came walking toward them on the sea. That's Jesus. Jesus comes walking on the water. But when the disciples saw Him walking on the sea, they were terrified, saying, "It is a ghost." And they cried out in fear. But immediately, Jesus spoke to them and said, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." They aren't sure what to make of this moment. They're scared. They're unsettled. They think it's a ghost. But it turns out it's Jesus, and He's not seeming to have the problems that they're having. They're stuck. Jesus is moving. They're rowing and not going, but Jesus is getting along just fine. And I think we move past what he says so quickly. Jesus says, take heart, have courage, be brave. Take heart, because it's me. Or the way it reads in the Greek, ego eimi, which means I am. Jesus says, I am. Jesus reminds them who he is, that he is God in the flesh, the great I am, the one who made the wind and the rain and the seas, the one who has control over all things, the one who moves in our lives. And so when he says to take heart, we can have courage, we can be brave, because Jesus is there and he's not having the same problems that we're having. And so Peter, full of confidence after the feeding of the 5,000, he was a part of this amazing miracle that took place. All the disciples were, but Peter, he jumps up and he says, well, I was a part of this thing, and so I see Jesus doing this, and maybe I can do that too. I want to take a step towards him. I want to learn from him. I want to follow him, and I want to follow him in such a way that I become more like him. And so Peter steps up to the edge of the boat and he says, Lord, if it's you, command me or call me to come to you on the water. And Jesus replies, come on, Peter, take that step. Go on, take that step. Now, what in the world would make Peter think that he can do what Jesus is doing? What in the world would make him think that he could walk on the water? Well, simply this. Peter knows how to take a step. It's something he knows how to do. It's something that he can do. And he trusts Jesus, who has called him to follow him. Even if he doesn't fully understand it, even if he doesn't know fully what that looks like, he's willing to be brave enough to do the thing that he can do to move closer to Jesus. So he takes one simple step, one step of bravery. Peter steps out of the boat. Now, we've talked about this interesting statistic out of the University of Scranton that's widely quoted, that 92% of people never complete their resolutions. That only 8% of the people who start off a new year trying to do something amazing, trying to do something different, trying to row in a certain direction and actually get there, only about 8% are able to overcome the circumstances of the wind and the buffeted seas. Only about 8% of them are able to complete those goals. Now, I tell you that, and I remind you of that, to tell you this. There were 12 disciples in the boat, and only one of them walked on water. That means of the 12, 11 of them did not walk on the water. They didn't even try. Which, if you do that math, it works out to 91.7%, which is basically 92% of the disciples didn't do this amazing thing. Only 8% of the disciples walked on water. The other 92%, they couldn't muster the bravery to try to do something to get closer to Jesus. And I'm sure they had lots of good reasons. I'm sure there were lots of things that were keeping them in the boat. But they were among the people who didn't do it. Just like so many of us. We want to do these things, but life seems to get in the way. We get distracted, we get stuck, we get overwhelmed. 92% of us stay in the boat. I don't think that's a statistical anomaly. That's interesting to me. That 11 disciples stayed in the boat. They didn't attempt something amazing. They didn't risk anything. They didn't take a step. They were overwhelmed by just paddling and continuing to do the same thing. Maybe they didn't think that they could do anything differently. Or maybe they just didn't take action. But faith, I believe, I think, is belief plus action. Faith is not belief alone. Faith is not action alone. It's those two things put together. That's what faith looks like. That's what being brave looks like. Because I think it's better to find out than it is to miss out. It's better to find out if you can actually take that step. It's better to find out what that group might be like. It's better to find out what that service opportunity might be about than to miss out on an opportunity to be a part of something amazing, to be a part of a miracle, to be a part of God's work in your life and in the world. It's better to find out than it is to miss out. And one of the things that I think is so interesting about this is that for all of eternity, it's Peter that we talk about walking on the water. It's not Thaddeus. It's not Bartholomew. It's not even John, the disciple that Jesus loved. It was Peter. Peter, he was the guy who walked on the water with Jesus because he was willing to take a step. He was willing to be brave and move in Jesus' direction. I love what C.S. Lewis tells us. He reminds us that the important things in life are acquired through participation. He says this: if you want to get warm, you have to stand near the fire. If you want to be wet, you've got to get in the water. And if you want joy and power and peace and eternal life, you must get close to or even into the thing that has them. That's Jesus. Peter says this amazing thing, and I think it can become an amazing prayer for us. Lord, call me to get out of the boat. Lord, call me to take a step towards you. Lord, call me out of this place where I feel stuck. And what I want you to see is that it's not perfect. It's not like Peter hops out of the boat and he's moonwalking on the water. I mean, he's not dancing, he's not doing anything. It's not perfect. But Peter takes one step towards Jesus, and then maybe another awkward step towards Jesus, and then he kind of gets his footing. But about the time he gets his footing, life gets in the way. It's like it always does. Life gets in the way. When he noticed the strong winds, it says, he became frightened and began to sink. Peter, he signed up. He was all in. He's like, I'm going to walk on the water. I'm going to join that small group. I'm going to step into something new. I'm going to serve in this way. I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to show up in this way. I'm going to be present as much as humanly possible. I'm going to do all these things this year. I'm going to know that I'm loved, and I'm going to serve in a certain way. I'm going to be changed this year. He signed up. And then all of a sudden there was this thing or that thing, or his schedule got busy. You know, I've got this, and oh man, it's been such a long week. And he takes his eyes off of Jesus. He takes his eyes off of that goal. He takes his eyes off of the person that he's following after, that he's trying to move towards. And instead of letting his relationship to Jesus define the circumstances he finds himself in, he allows his circumstances to dictate his ability to follow Jesus. We do this all the time. Peter's walking on water. He's doing just fine. And then he notices all of the reasons that he shouldn't be doing what he's doing. He begins to sink. And he reaches out to Jesus and he says, Lord, save me. And Jesus immediately reached his hand out and caught him, saying to him, you of little faith, why did you doubt? How we think that Jesus chides him for not being able to take the next step. But I think Jesus is really reminding him that he doubted his ability to take the next step. But Jesus never doubted his ability to take the next step. Jesus wants to know why he doubted himself, why he got so focused on all the other things, why he forgot about the thing that he was trying to do, why he forgot how brave he was to take one step towards Jesus. Because every action we take is a vote for the kind of person we're becoming. So maybe this year, you'll be the kind of person who's being brave. Maybe that's a resolution for all of us this year, to be brave, to take a step towards the person we want to become, to take a step towards Jesus. Brene Brown talks a lot about bravery, and one of the things that I love that she says is that you learn to be brave by braving, by practicing bravery, by being brave, by taking a step. She goes on to talk about this and says that courage to show up when we can't control the outcome, that's the kind of courage that we should have. And we should choose courage over comfort. Comfort says stay in the boat. But courage says take a step toward Jesus. Pray a brave prayer. Jesus, call me out of this boat. Jesus, invite me to take a step. So wherever you are today, let me challenge you to do something brave. If you've been with us for a little while and you've never taken a step toward Jesus, if you've never stepped out of the boat trusting Jesus with your life, with your direction, with your purpose, today is a day that you can be brave enough to do just that. To pray that prayer, Jesus, call me to take a step towards you. Or maybe you're ready to take that next step. Turns out that next week, again, is February 1st. And we're doing this wonderful event called Group Connect. A next step for you might be to join a group, to take a step of faith and join with some other people who are trying to move toward Jesus together. They're all trying to take a next step together. It's easier to be brave in a group of people who are all trying to be brave together. It's easier to take a next step with a group of people who are all taking a step together. To learn about who Jesus is and who Jesus is inviting you to be. By showing up to Group Connect and finding a place to belong. Or maybe your next step is to become a servant leader around here. To really engage in serving in a way that invites other people to be a part of the important work that's taking place both inside the walls of this church and outside of the walls through this church. There's so many ways to serve. There's so many opportunities to lead. There's so many places where we're feeding and serving and loving people in amazing ways, where we bring all we've got and Jesus makes it more than we ever thought we had. And all it takes is one brave step. We want you to be brave this year, to take one step toward Jesus and trust that He'll be there, even in all the circumstances, even if it all looks overwhelming, even if we're not sure that we can decide what it is that we want to do. Maybe today we just pray a brave prayer. Jesus, call me to take a step toward you. Will you pray with me? Gracious God, we are so thankful that you invite us to be changed, to be loved, to be curious, to be brave, to take a step towards you this year, to be changed by the presence of your Son in our lives this year, to move in His direction, to take one step towards Jesus, to be brave enough to do that. God, call us to take a brave step this year. God, we pray that as you speak to us, as you invite us out onto the water, that we might focus on you so we can continue to take brave steps and be changed by your presence. God, we pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Hey guys, I hope that you've enjoyed our time together today. We hope we'll see all of you next week, February 1st, Group Connect. It's going to be a great time together. We've also got Lawrenceville First Steps if you want to find out more about who we are. Either of those would be great steps to take in the week to come. We'll see you soon.